Preach! I'll wash your feet, viewer. I will wash your feet. Let me know. I will wash y'all feet. I'll wash y'all motherfuckers' feet. I don't care. I will do that shit. Bring me the crustiest feet, man. I'll watch that. I'll wash that shit so good. I'll wash that shit so good, bruh.
In the land of the tyrant, where the sun never sets, we march to the beat of oppression's drums.
Okay, today I'm going to tell you the story of how Jesus Christ turned me into a Marxist communist super soldier. Okay, not quite, not totally that, but what I want to talk about is how I went from being a person who was Christian in various ways, shapes, and forms that we can talk about, to someone who believed in the principles of a radical leftist politic, one that someone could associate with Marxism, okay? And I hope this is something that some of y'all can relate to, or maybe something that people who don't get the connection between those things could help them understand those a little bit more. And if you don't know me, my name is Michael Burns. I do other stuff on YouTube that's professional. This is just me in a personal...
Hi, Michael Burns. I love your setting. It looks cool.
...capacity. So thank you so much for hanging out. I'm excited to be doing this. So let's start with this. We'll do some personal stuff. I grew up in a sort of traditional Irish Catholic household in which we went to Mass and had a vague sense of Christianity around the house, but we weren't radically conservative. We definitely weren't super liberal. It was kind of just like a thing we did, more like a routine or a practice than anything else. But in my middle school years, I started going to an evangelical, an evangelical youth group in, wait for it, Florida, USA, in the pre-9/11.
Oh my God, he was a Florida man. He was a Florida man.
7 years. We'll get back to 9/11 in a second. And, you know, you might say, what attracted you to something like that? And it was like a spirit of inclusivity. I went to this evangelical youth group, and everyone was so nice, and they were so friendly, and there's free pizza and cute girls, and, you know...
free pizza and cute girls.
Something about that appealed to me that I didn't get from Catholicism. You know, it felt like it gave explanations for elements of my existence that were confusing. It provided a sort of cosmic affirmation that gave life a sense of meaning or purpose. And again, it meant once a week I got to go to a place where there was free pizza, cute girls, and sometimes decent music. But soon after this all happened, 9/11 happened. Now, I'm not saying they're correlated. I'm not saying my conversion to evangelical Christianity in any way, shape, or form led to the attacks on the World Trade Center. But what I saw in the wake of 9/11 relative to Christianity wasn't great. You know, I saw a presidency try to use Christianity connected to American nationalism to justify acts of violence and war on people on the other side.
That ain't good, boys.
Of the world. I saw people in the communities in which I participated quickly use their faith to justify pretty, I would say, abhorrent nationalist views that were, you know, Islamophobic and racist and sort of bloodthirsty in many ways. It wasn't a good vibe, but I still, despite all of this, ended up going to, you know, a loosely Christian college, the name of which I will not say because I'm embarrassed. But what happened there is, in actually studying the Bible and actually exploring Christianity, I found there's elements of this stuff that I really connected with, and we'll talk about a few of those. So let's start here. This is from the Bible. This is verse Matthew 19:23-26. And don't worry, if you're here for the Marxism stuff, we're going to get to that. Okay, but we gotta go there sequentially. This verse says, you know, then Jesus said to his disciples, I say unto you that a rich man shall hardly enter in the kingdom of heaven. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. I found this interesting.
Hey, guys. Here it is. Here's the first socialism in Jesus Christ. It says, Then said Jesus unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say unto you, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven of God. Oh.
Because it seemed like there was a critique of the pursuit of wealth, a critique of a sort of materialistic, capitalistic value inherent to the scriptures themselves. You know, I started working for a nonprofit when I was in college that was named after a Bible verse. That verse was Micah 6:8, and I'll read you that verse right here. Micah 6:8 said, "He has shown to you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God." And this nonprofit I worked for, the people involved in it, for them, what Christianity meant and the core of Christian theology was a seeking of justice and peace in the world right now. What it looked like in the context of that nonprofit was working with immigrant and migrant communities, people who now I guess Christians fucking hate.
For real, dude. They switch up so fast, these Christians.
But doing things that strove after a sense of social justice, and that really connected with me, you know? And then I started reading some theology that got at similar stuff. You know, there's a theologian some of you might have heard of. He was from Duke University. His name is Stanley Hauerwas. Once I gave a paper, and he was the chair of the paper, and he clipped his nails under the table as I gave an academic paper. That wasn't at all weird, you know? That wasn't weird at all. But this is from one of his books. You know, he says, "A social order bent on producing wealth as an end in itself cannot avoid the creation of a people whose souls are superficial and whose daily life is captured by sentimentalities." You know, and he's someone who's not a Marxist or a communist or something, but a Christian theologian who taught at, you know, the Duke University Seminary or whatever, who put a lot of emphasis on the notion that the politicization of Christianity that we saw in America wasn't theologically valid, right? And in another text, says, "Never think you need to protect God, because anytime you think you need to protect God, you can be sure you're worshiping an idol." And it's like, whoa, so much of American political and cultural life, especially in evangelicalism, is like, protect God. We got to be God's bouncers. And it's like, guys, he doesn't need you. You know, if you're one of those people watching this, if you're someone who thinks you need to protect God with legislation, you really think some cosmic entity who's all-knowing and all-powerful, created the cosmos, needs you, a guy in a county outside of Wichita, to pass legislation to make sure the kids can't read a book that you decided is a bad book?
I don't think a lot of them really... A lot of people are stupid, so a lot of them don't really realize that they're being used by the politicians. They're being told that is the reason. It's because we got to protect God, but like the politicians know that they're just being corrupt as fuck, and they're just trying to get more like money and power to the churches and shit.
Come on. I don't think that. And another thing with Hauerwas, and again, I'm reading this in the era of the ongoing, you know, American war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Hauerwas also said something like, well, not something like, I'm just going to read a quote. Why would I say something like? He literally said the thing I'm about to say. "As long as it is assumed that war is always an available option, we will not be forced to imagine any alternative to war." Okay? So in our journey right now, I've kind of gone from, you know, secular Catholic kid to evangelical teen to in college exploring ideas of social justice and critiques of American empire and capital grounded in the Christian tradition. Well, my next step on this lovely journey is I started reading about liberation theology. I think some of you might know what this is. It's a school of theology cooked up largely in Central and South America. One of the most famous things associated with liberation theology is this notion of the preferential option for the poor. The idea that the poor and the oppressed and the marginalized need to be ethically prioritized in society. We need to think first of that. And, you know, I was going to go through a bunch more Bible verses, but if you go to one of those Bible websites and type in, like, the poor, because there's, like, 1,000 verses in that friggin' book that are, like, take care of poor people, be good to poor people, blah, 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 blah. So, like, what are we doing now? What are we doing now? But
we are
of the liberation theology movement.
We're clearly not reading the fucking Bible anymore, I can tell you that. I can fucking tell you that. We're not reading no Bible anymore, Sir Michael Burns.
Pretty famous one, and one of the more, I would say, middle-of-the-road ones, not a super radical guy relative to some of the others, is a guy named Gustavo Gutierrez. And, you know, he says this in one of his texts, "The poor person does not exist as an inescapable fact of destiny. His or her existence is not politically neutral, and it is not ethically innocent. The poor are a byproduct of the system in which we live and for which we are responsible. They are marginalized by our social and cultural world. They are oppressed, exploited proletariat, robbed of the fruit of their labor, and despoiled of their humanity. Hence, the poverty of the poor is not a call to generous relief action, but a demand that we go build a different social order." Oh my God, is
damn, that guy spitting. Gustavo Gutierrez.
Before I became Marxist, this is where it happened. Is this the moment that the seed got planted? Is this what did it? Yes, kind of. Because look at what he's saying here, right? Like, now you know basic like early Marx, your brain's already going like, wait. But look what he says. The last line. The poverty of the poor is not a call to generous relief action. You know, it's not a call to do your good charity stuff and do your nonprofit stuff and once a week do whatever, but a demand that we go and build a different social order. And this hit me hard, folks, this type of thinking, because like so many of the responses I saw in American liberal politics, American evangelicalism, and Christianity to some of the horrors happening in the world were basically just like Band-Aids, 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 Band-Aids. And I'm not talking about the Band-Aids that Nelly wore under his eyes. Those were very cool. And Nelly was also popping off around this time. If I had a video editor, I would put a Nelly clip in right here. So, you know, this is the point.
Bro, I'll be your video editor. I'll work for free, Michael Burns. I'll be your Jesus video editor. You don't gotta pay me. Just treat me nice.
And as well, where I want to make these videos better at some point.
I'll put Nelly in, boy.
I'm gonna do a Patreon thing, which I feel really weird about. But if you want to see me have video clips of Nelly in these things, consider joining so I can afford that, because now I can just afford this. But so many of the ways in which I saw, you know, political or sort of organized responses to political and social problems were just little types of relief, but they weren't looking at the underlying cause of the thing. They weren't criticizing elements of, you know, we could say political economy, economic infrastructure, political infrastructure that create these conditions. A lot of people who are Christian, I think well-intentioned, were like, we should take care of the poor. But the liberation theologians were like, you shouldn't just take care of the poor. You got to ask why people
are people poor?
Why do these conditions exist in the first place?
What is going on in society? What's going on in the systems that we're living in? What is this capitalism thing that we talk about? What is capitalism? What is corporate greed? What is a class warfare? What is class warfare? Why do billionaires lobby? Why is there lobbying? Why you guys gotta ask questions. You gotta teach yourself. You gotta be excited about learning shit.
Oh boy, hope you guys are having a good one. I'm having a good one. So, you know, next step on our journey here, of course, would be something like Marx himself. This is a quote. I'm sure many of you have seen this one before. It's from his critique of Hegel's philosophy of right, or the introduction to Hegel's philosophy of right, 1843, I'm pretty sure. Marx writes this: religious suffering is at one and the same time the expression of real suffering and a protest against real suffering. Let me stop right there. I didn't really intro Marx. Karl Marx, German philosopher and political economist from the 19th century, steeped in the works of Hegel and Feuerbach and a lot of the debates of his time. Someone who never killed millions of people. He didn't do that. But someone who's definitely not a Christian, right? Someone who's not a deeply religious thinker. And you know right now why a lot of people who are Christian hate Marx, or why a lot of reactionaries tell us that his work is incompatible with Christianity. It's because he called religion the opiate of the masses. And what we've seen these days, and this is kind of why I'm making this video, to be honest. I should have said this at the beginning, but I'm not being careful.
Religion is the opiate of the masses, guys.
We're just improvising. Is words like Marx and communism are used as threats against America, democracy, freedom, children, your kids' genitals or whatever. And there's sort of this
woke.
It's
woke.
A lot of the discourse in
the woke mind virus is coming for y'all, y'all. Yo, our kids, the woke mind virus is coming for our kids. The woke communist mind virus, guys.
America, that things like Marxism, communism, socialism are antithetical to the tenets of Christianity, Christian theology, or religion more generally. Now, I think that's BS, and I think everything we've looked at thus far kind of proves that to an extent, or at least leads us that direction. But, you know, I was, in my own journey of this stuff, was wondering, like, wow, why are so many of these theological figures speaking kindly, or at least not aggressively, about someone like Karl Marx? And it's because Marx has the same fundamental sort of analytic aim here as someone like Gutierrez. So if we go back to Gutierrez, who says, you know, we got to demand we go out and build a different social order. Marx says religious suffering is at one and the same time the expression of real suffering and a protest against real suffering. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. And when he says it's the opium of the people, listen, the reason people do drugs, or especially opiates and stuff like that, I mean, there's a lot, but one is like they're miserable. They're hopeless. Look at the areas in the United States of America where opiate addiction is the highest, and you know, put that over a map of poverty and, you know, economic despair and all that sort of stuff. When life sucks and there's not a lot of meaning or hope, you turn to these things. So Marx's point isn't that religion is like heroin and that's bad. His point is that religion is a thing like an opiate that people rely on when the misery of their material existence gives them nothing to hope for. So religion introduces some transcendental hope beyond their material existence that maybe gives them something, you know, to avoid tapping out or whatever. You know what I mean? So Marx goes on to say the abolition of religion as the illusory happiness of the people is the demand for their real happiness. So he's not some friggin' edgelord who just, like, you know, filleted Richard Dawkins or something like that. Richard Dawkins is the worst, by the way. But he's saying that religion is an illusory happiness. It's less than. But it's a demand for their real happiness. To call on people to give up their illusions about their condition is a call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. It's a call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. The criticism of religion, therefore, an embryo is the criticism of that veil of tears of which religion is the halo. So the criticism of religion is the criticism of the thing that makes us need religion, which are systems in the world that lead to oppression and poverty and exploitation and all those sorts of things, which is why one can say, or one can see this journey of like, okay, if I'm religious, I'm vibing with Christianity, what am I vibing with? I'm not vibing with the, like, you know, don't jerk off part, which isn't really if there's a Bible verse that says don't jerk off, let us know down in the comments. But the thing I'm vibing with in the Bible is like justice, good, justice for the oppressed, great, seeking out peace, awesome, war
For real.
is bad.
For
you
real.
know, being
Preach.
open-minded to people that aren't like you, right? Jesus washing the feet of sex workers
Preach.
and stuff like that.
I'll wash your feet, viewer. I will wash your feet. Let me know. I will wash y'all feet. I'll wash y'all motherfuckers' feet. I don't care. I will do that shit. Bring me the crustiest feet, man. I'll watch that. I'll wash that shit so good. I'll wash that shit so good, bruh.
I'm sharing things communally. Book of Acts. Everyone shared stuff communally. It sounds like some hippie leftist shit because it kind of is, you know? And it's not just me.
I love hippie leftist shit, guys. I fucking love hippie leftist shit.
Putting this together right now are just the liberation theologians. It's like on one side we have liberation theologians.
I may sound like an asshole. I might come off like an asshole, but I'm a big teddy bear. I'm a softie.
Who, via their theological motivation, are like, ooh, I kind of...
This is just my armor because I've been through a lot of abuse. This is my armor from my parental abuse, you know, a lot of shitty relationship, a lot of stuff. It's just my armor.
I kind of see what this Marx guy is saying. But there's also Marxist philosophers and leftist philosophers who then are open to Christianity. And like most recently, people like Slavoj Žižek, Alain Badiou, Jacques Derrida, philosophers like that, led to a wave, at least when I was in grad school. It's kind of trendy to talk about Christianity again. But, you know, it's not just so they can sell books to evangelical college students. There's really something there. So, you know, Ernst Bloch is someone I think of here. German philosopher, wrote a book called Atheism and Christianity. I highly recommend it. I think he has another one that's called like Marxism in the Bible or something. But I'm not going to fact check that. But he says when Christians are really concerned with the emancipation of those who labor and are heavy laden, and when Marxists retain the depths of the kingdom of freedom as the real content of revolutionary consciousness on the road to becoming true substance, the alliance between revolution and Christianity, founded in the Peasant Wars, German Peasant Wars, Thomas Munzer, look it up, may live again, this time with success. Okay? Just skipping ahead, he says, you know, in the far-reaching, inexhaustible depths of emancipation, in those words, could also serve as a motto for a Marxism aware of its depths. He's kind of saying, like, Christians need to realize that you do, if you're motivated to emancipate the poor and create a better world, you need to have an actual analytic tool set to do that work and talk about why the world is so effed. And if you want to be a Marxist revolutionary, you have to think about the depths of your spiritual humanity to motivate that, right? Because I would say in my time of existing, you know, as someone who has been Christian, has been vaguely Marxist and leftist and stuff like that, you know, a critique of the Christian side was always, you're not actually looking at the material conditions that lead to these things, you know? You're not asking what the opiate is necessary for. On the other side, sometimes in leftist or revolutionary thought, there's a lack of emphasis on the human, like the depths of our soul and our own humanity. You know, this is why I spent a lot of years reading someone like Soren Kierkegaard, who's obsessed with that kind of thing. And so I think they are traditions that have something to do with each other. And I also think there is a pathway. And it's not just me. I'm sure this is some of you guys. I meet so many people in my life who are interesting, thoughtful people with radical politics, with empathy for everyone around them that want to create a better world, who have had some religious experience that led them there. And I think there's something important about that. And like I've kind of said before, I said in one of the last videos I did here, is why I don't think we can just throw that out with the bathwater, but also why I think if anyone tells you in your community or your world that there's an absolute gap between religion or Christianity in particular, but also most of the other ones, with radical politics, with socialism, with Marxism, they're full of it. They don't know what they're talking about, guys. So I'll leave you here with that. A couple things real quick. Making these videos is not my job. I have another job. Eventually, I'd like to make stuff like this and make it better, you know, make it look better, have some production value to it. Right now, I'm giving myself a rule where I can only take an hour to make one of these on an afternoon where my kid's sleeping. I do have a Patreon set up. Please don't even consider it if you don't have money to give. But if you have money to give and you want to throw some bones my way, the first however many people, I forgot what limit I set it at, who get in at $5 now, I will never lift that. I'll change it to make sure this is there, but you'll always be there even if I do amazing things. But all I want to do is use some of that to maybe make cooler stuff eventually that reflects things I'm into and the style of things I like. But if that's not you, don't worry. If you ever feel like tipping me, I put my Venmo in the thing down there. I asked when people might want to see streams as a poll on the community page. I'm going to try to stream a couple times a week. So please do let me know if there's stuff you want to hear me talk about. And if you do sign up for the Patreon, I am going to put...
Bro, where's your Venmo at? I don't see no Venmo here.
Longer versions of these videos there. So you get at least a little something in the meantime. But thank you so much for hanging out. Do all the YouTube stuff. And, you know, have faith in the cross or in the revolution, whichever one works for you. I'll see you guys soon.
In the land of the tyrant, where the sun never sets, we march to the beat of oppression's drums. With a powerful ally, our ruling fist is clenched. We'll trample over the weak. Our kingdom will never crumble.